Welcome back, my favorite Python programmers, to a brand new video, and in this one we are again doing something different, but even different than what we were doing previously, because we have a very small project right here that is a password generator project. And what I will be doing is I'm going to be going through it, telling you what's happening, and then what I will do is I'm going to tell you to expand on it, see what you can do, try to play around with the code that you see in front of you, and just understand exactly what's happening, because there are a lot of lessons in here that you can learn from. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's first of all test it out just to see what it does. So right here, I'm going to enter a length for my password. Let's say I want a password of length 12. I hit enter. As you can see, I have a very, very unique password, a password full of letters and symbols, and uppercase and lowercase letters. Unfortunately, I don't see any numbers. Let's try this again. Let's say 25. Yep, there we go. I have one number in here, and as you can see, this number is unique, and this uppercase D is unique. So this is one of the amazing features of this project, and it's very, very nice. And just a heads up, I did not come up with this project. I saw it online. This is what I'm doing. I'm finding code snippets and questions that people have online. I'm taking them, I'm stealing them, because as you know, this is not your code, this is our code. This is something that's very typical. No, I'm joking. I'm not stealing them. These are questions that people have posted online very publicly. So I feel that I'm at liberty to use them. So right here, first line, we are importing the random module. And if you don't know what modules are, they're basically like a library. These are also called libraries in some cases. Basically, you have, let's say you want to know how to do something. Instead of going out and getting the professor that actually created something, you go to a library where they written down everything that you need. So we will need some functions such as the sample, for example, that we'll get later on. And what we do is we import the random module that has this sample so that we can use it for later on. This is something that's very typical whenever you are coding in any language. Next, we have 4 variables that we have instantiated. The first variable is a string of letters in the lowercase. The second one, which is upper, is a string of letters that are in the uppercase. Then we have the numbers, which are the numbers 0 to 9. And then we have the symbols that are pretty much all the symbols that you can find on your keyboard. Next, what we do is we take all of these, the lower, upper, numbers, and symbols, all of these strings, and we concatenate them. So whenever you are adding up strings together, you are concatenating them. So we concatenate all of these together, and then we ask the user for the length. Now you'll notice that whenever we get an input in here, we are converting it into an integer. Why is that? Well, because whenever you get an input from the user, it's a string. And of course, we will want to be using this length later on in the sample, so we decided to convert it into an integer. And by the way, if you're looking at this and you're like, oh my god, how would I have known that I needed to convert it into an integer? Keep in mind that the person that created this, and it's not something that's complicated, I've made tons of other password generator projects even when I was in high school, but the idea is, as you are writing the code, you don't know that you need to convert it into an integer, especially if you're a beginner. Of course you know, but when you're advanced and you've done this several times, but let's say you're a beginner and you're creating this project from scratch, you wouldn't know that you needed to convert it into an integer. But once you get an error, you're like, oh, this needed to be an integer. So you go and you convert it. And you'll see that even though this project looks solid, there are a lot of things that can be tweaked to improve it. But anyways, we get the input from the user right here. This is the line that you see right here. So enter the length. Let me move it down. And as you can see, enter the length. It's the input, and you convert it into an integer, and then it's stored in length. Now, this is the complicated line of code. This is, I think, where most of you are like, oh my god, what the heck is happening in here? So, of course, first of all, we create the password. This is just the variable name, and then we use the join. So if I hover over this join, you'll see that, it concatenates any number of strings. So the string whose method is called is inserted in between each given string. The result returned as a new string. So what does all of that mean? Let's go inside and see what we get. So we have random.sample, and let's check what sample does. So choose k unique random elements from a population sequence. All right. So a sequence is, it could be a list, it could be a tuple, it could be a string. So anything that you can access using an index is usually referred to as a sequence. And it returns a new list containing elements from this population. And you can define, I'm not gonna read all of it, but basically what it does is you provide it with a sequence, which could be a string, in this case it is, which is the all characters, and then you tell it that I want random elements from it, or I want this much elements from it. This is the amount of elements that I want. So if I hover over it again, this is called the population, not the population, the k. So chooses k unique random elements from a population. So we've understood what this does. It picks, we've provided it with the all chars, which is a concatenation of all of these strings. So we have one very long string, and then we tell the random sample that we want individual elements, and we want 5, 10, 11, 100, not 100 of course, because all chars doesn't even have 100 characters, but basically it picks based on the length that the user has provided these random samples. Now, why are we then using the join? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to actually print out this random sample right here so that you can see that it's actually, and why did I not, oh, because I need to provide, so let's say just 4. And as you can see, they are a string. So right here, this is the printout that I get. So it's, sorry, did I say a string? I meant a list of strings. So we have these individual strings inside of a list, but this is not a real password. So to make it into a password, we use the join. So let's go back to the join, concatenates any numbers of strings. So we provided with a list of strings. So we have the J uppercase, the plus, the 2, and the smaller than symbol. And what join does is it takes these individual strings and it concatenates them together and then adds whatever we've provided right here. So this was the funkiest part, I think, the craziest part for like, what the heck is this? Seems alien. But no, this is what will be in between the strings. So if I add a dot, look at what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna say 4 again, hit enter, and this is the password now with dots in between. But we don't want anything. And keep in mind, a space is still something. So if I right click and I run 4, look at that. We have spaces. So the space is also something. So we don't want anything. Right click and run. And let's say 16, hit enter. Look, you can see these are the random picks from the all char, the very long string that we've created right here. We've picked random samples and then we joined them together to generate a password. This is all fine and dandy. If you still are here, please make sure to like the video, but there is kind of an issue, because what if the user just wants to, play around and they hit hello instead of a number or a digit and they hit enter? We get an error. So this is something that you can figure out on your own. Try to fix it. There are multiple ways of fixing it, using an if statement or using a try except block. And another thing is, what if I want multiple passwords? So let's say I want okay, so 5, but I want another password, right? So you can do this using a while loop, and I recommend that you do this. I don't know what else you can do. Maybe you can add something else other than this, just the uppercase, lowercase, make it even more complicated. Something that's very nice that you can do is you can actually have some letters repeat. How about that? But not too much. How about that? You can see oh, is there 3 of this letter already? Then don't do it. This is something that you can think about. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a breakdown of a very small project. I don't know if this is something that you like. I think that there were a lot of lessons to teach. And if you don't know, I have a Python Teaching Institute where I take complete beginners to absolute masters, and I've had a lot of success with a lot of students. I do this whether through private tutoring with me or an expert instructor that works at my company, or I do this through courses that are extremely in-depth, 30+ hour courses with tons of projects, tons of challenges, and tons of also advanced projects that you can work on with machine learning. Once you finish, everything is covered there. So if you're interested, check out the description with all the links. You can also follow me on all of the possible platforms. Type in 2mpythondev on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok if you're into that. And yeah, like the video, share it, and good luck on your Python programming journey. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.